Hello, everybody. Welcome to another early morning episode of Unscripted Liberation Codes. It is I, Mario Mijares, and Alex Liberato, your hosts of the show. And today with us, we have a very special guest, Erica Amoreena. Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
Excellent. And I'm going to read a little bio about Erica. And we've been friends on Facebook for quite a while. And recently, she came out and published a book called Girl Stolen, a collection of memories. And so today we're going to talk about her book and learn a little bit more about her. Erica was abducted at age 3 by the military and taken to Camp Peary in Langley, Virginia, where she was tortured and split into violent altars. From that, she was bought by Shoreline Group to go work as an intuitive empath on the moon. After that, she was abducted and trained as a pilot and used to carry cargo through stargates between the moon, Dulce, Antarctica, and Ceres. At age 5, she was taken back to Camp Peary, Dum, which is a deep underground military base, and sent with Michael Aquino, who subjected her to satanic ritual abuse and used her in dark satanic rituals. At age 7, she was sent to Montauk to preview future timelines and report them. Then, at age 8, she was abducted and sent to Mars, where she worked for 18 years before she was owned by the Draco and used as a pilot. After that, she was abducted and trained for the following agencies and programs: Mars Defense, Monarch, the ICC, the CIA, the NSA, Dark Fleet, Solar Warden, Homeland Security, Kruger, the Chinese military, the Ukrainian military, Russian SFB, ACIO Division 2 and 6, number 12 in the numbers group, Umbrella Corporation, Project Eyes On, Project Pink Mist, Project Looking Glass, and Kruger. Due to her DNA, she cannot have her memory efficiently wiped and erased, so she is extra targeted and abused by the military agencies that do not want her to talk about what she knows. She has access to looking glass technology and is currently still working as a time traveler to lock in the highest timeline for humanity. She has been a paranormal investigator and professional psychic for over 30 years and has worked as a mentor for starseed children with abilities. She has experience in nature magic and unbinding dark magic spells. Erica Amoreena currently works as a heart centered, multidimensional energy intuitive and seer. She has a profound understanding of how the matrix operates and how to navigate it. She has a deep passion for empowering others to find their truth, clear entity attachments, clearing implants, physical or technological, helping others to remember their natural abilities, and releasing old programs such as MK Ultra programs. She is a survivor of SRA, satanic ritual abuse, and of the Montauk program, time mechanics. Erica has gone through an intense and extensive healing journey to balance and regulate her system from those abuses. Through her awakening and healing journey, she discovered how to unbind herself from harmful implants, spiritual attacks, and psychological manipulations. She now compassionately dedicates her life to helping others have the courage and strength to do the same. Her website is ericaamoreena.com. That is her name, ericaamoreena.com. And now I will allow Erica to introduce herself again and just give us a few words. Hello, Erica.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me on your show. And
Yes.
I'm very nervous, so it's hard for me to talk on live, especially with lights in front of me in my face. So
Oh, yeah.
bear with me.
Well, and the conversation's not all light and bright either.
No,
So
it's not. It's very personal and painful, but we will get through.
glad
Yeah,
to.
I mean, I'm a little nervous too. Actually, I feel the nervous energy. This is an intense subject, and I even myself get a little choked up reading parts of your book because there's so many resonating factors of what I have also gone through that I can feel you have um, done more work in piecing together, and I can feel that energy. And like as I feel it, like I don't want to say I get afraid of it. It's just I just like, whoa, that's like there's something there for me to unpack. And am I going to unpack it now and maybe feel like I'm in multiple timelines for the next couple,
Right.
or am I going to like unpack it a little later? You know what I mean?
That's what waking up to your memories. That's what it feels like. Like when it comes in, there's a heavy knowing that there's something that you have to unpack, and you like sometimes I'm like, okay, this isn't a good time. I'm just gonna hold on to this for a while until I have time to look at it, because it's not easy to look at this stuff. It's not at
Mm-mm,
all.
mm-mm.
But we need
So
to.
yeah, and in your book, you mentioned that it was the year 2022 where you realized that you have been in these programs, and then you experienced a cascade of remembering things that you have gone through your entire life, and now being able to make sense of what were all these strange things that went on. What was it exactly in 2022 that brought you to that moment? I'm sure it was a gradual buildup, but what was that big moment where it all came flooding in, if that happened?
Yeah, it happened like that, and I think that's common. In 2022, it's in the book, but I had a MyLab, and the person I was living with that I was renting from, I didn't know was a handler. She worked for the military, and I was living there. I was a nanny. I was going to work, taking care of two babies all day long. So I was exhausted. But they came in the middle of the night. And what happened, the abduction and what they left was so violent. It did many things at once. It put me into like severe shock. And then getting through the shock kind of woke me up to like everything that was compartmentalized that I blocked from my mind, and I didn't put all these pieces together that I write in the book through the trauma of what they did, breaking into my bedroom in the middle of the night, you know, and leaving me physically damaged, broke all of those compartments wide open, and everything came flooding in, and that was not fun, and now I'm shaking.
Wow, that's very intense. And
Mhm.
before that abduction happened and you went through that, were you already sort of in the know of secret space programs and these sort of things?
I had been when Corey Good came out. Oh, I probably shouldn't say his name, but
Yeah, we
when
all
he
say
came,
it.
okay, when he came out, something inside me was like, listen to, like I had to listen to everything he said. I was obsessed, but I couldn't associate it with my own life. I was just, and I don't get obsessed about stuff like that. I was just so super interested. And then other people came out with stories like Tony Rodriguez, a lot of other people talking about stuff. And I resonated with it. But at the same time, I was repulsed by it. And that was for me a sign that I know that when you're in the programs, they make you repulsed by the things that you could learn more about yourself about, like, if that
Hmm.
makes any sense. They train you not to want to learn about this stuff. But I lost my thought there.
No, that totally makes sense. Yeah.
But I knew that this stuff existed. I knew it was real. I just didn't know how it applied to my life. And then, after this really traumatic event, I couldn't work anymore. I couldn't function anymore. I ended up finding about 40 journals that I kept my entire life and reading through those, and just the compartments were all open. Everything started flooding in, and then my childhood memories started flooding in. And it was very, very intense 2 years, the last 2 years, getting through that.
Wow. And after that abduction happened, you just kind of quit the job and moved out immediately after that?
They left me that morning that I woke up out of that my lab. I was bleeding and bruised, and I had to go to work. And I guess I worked for 2 days. I had no memory of being there, and that's scary because I was taking care of children, driving them around to their appointments and stuff. And it was too much, and I started having panic attacks and passing out because I was so scared. Like, I lived so afraid of everything, every noise, every crack in the house. Like, everything scared me so bad. I got really, really sick. It was a wreck.
Yeah.
How soon were you able to escape that dynamic, and just like get yourself into your own space and place?
I went back that night, and I guess I had so much adrenaline from the fear that I took all my stuff out of that apartment within 20 minutes, put it in my car, and didn't care where I went. But I got out. I used all my savings to find myself like a little safe place to live right by the water in Pacific Grove. And so I was safe there, but it was rough. And then when I ended up there, that's when I had the appointment with you, Mario. That reading. Yeah, I didn't. And I don't know if you remember, I think I laughed the whole time because I was so scared. And I think, how you nervous laugh, but I think I was like crying on the inside. Just, it was intense.
Yeah. I had no idea that you had gone through that or were going through any of that when you booked the session. And I'm sorry, but I read a lot of charts. I don't remember exactly what came through during your reading. But I remember that it was a very intense one, and you were very receptive, and because of your openness and receptive to it, like a lot of information was coming through
Yeah.
in that reading.
Wow. So, if memory serves me, this was about the time, Mario, you were maybe on your cross country kind of journey, or you were in
Yes.
Portland. Okay.
No, so I had just moved into the house here in North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was maybe May or June of
May,
2020.
yeah. It was
Yeah,
the end of May, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's a hugely wow, that's a hugely accelerated journey you undertook, Erica, because I feel like other people, people not of advanced means, probably would have taken a decade to unpack all this stuff, and within 2 years you've kind of integrated a lot of it, got down a lot of your memories, published a story, and was like, am I the only one? Who else is coming out of this closet, kind of metaphorically,
No, it really was like, I was so targeted writing it, and I didn't understand why, but I can't even tell you how sick I was. Like, I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't breathe right, I couldn't get enough air. Just so much. And it was very intense. And I think because I'd spent my entire life pushing my abilities away and lying to myself so that I fit into society, Like, I wanted my family to love me. I wanted my parents to love me. So I was exceptional. Like, I tried extra hard. I did extra just to find out they were all my handlers. But I had no choice. Like, I was so battered. I was either going to die. Like, you have to choose. Am I going to live? Am I going to get, I didn't even have like time or like this is going to sound terrible, but I feel like I didn't even have the luxury of having victim mentality. I had to like survive. I had to get through and figure shit out quick.
Yeah.
Here. Yeah. Yeah, it's the not fight or flight, but like if the Titanic's sinking or the Hindenburg's like you're just like, I'll figure it out. I'll have my feelings later, but right
Yeah,
now
exactly.
I gotta do this.
You have to. And that was something that I had a lot of help with from my, I'll say guides, but my guides are all my higher self. So they're all me. But they were like, okay, I said, I can't do this dealing with all of these emotions. And so what they worked out for me, or what my higher self worked out for me, was I would spend nights like in the fetal position crying on the floor, but I wouldn't know what I knew I was going through remembering emotional, painful things. But this is hard to explain. My remembering a horrible event and the feelings and emotions that went with that event were separated so that I could get through it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I get a visual with that. Yeah.
Wow. Very intense. If it's okay with you, I'd like to read a couple pages just from the introduction of your book.
Okay.
Yeah, just because when I first got into it, and just the way your introduction was written is, it just set the reader up so perfectly to understand kind of where you're coming from and how difficult this was, and to have more compassion reading this if somebody's never has no idea what any of this information is. So I'm gonna read your introduction, but I'll kind of skip over some stuff. So let's see here. I'm going to begin. I was born a highly sensitive child back in the early 70s. I was neurodivergent, trying hard to understand and fit into the world around me. There was no guidance or understanding back then for kids who were highly sensitive. The norm was punishment for not being like the other kids. If one was different, there was something wrong with them. I could see other dimensions and realms that interacted with this one. I could talk to ghosts and spirits, animals, trees, and rocks. The little people, fairies, and earth spirits. I could see what secrets people wanted to hide and what they were ashamed of. I saw everything. I could also see entities that were attached to people and free floating. I would see energies controlling people and how they would manipulate them, like a puppet on strings. The person had no idea they were controlled, and it was unnerving to watch. At a very young age, I observed that most people said one thing, but they meant something else entirely. I could feel everything they were feeling. I also saw figures hiding in the corner of my room watching me at night. The unseen was seen by me, but it seemed like nobody else noticed what I did. They seemed to be under a spell. I could see the entities controlling and feeding off of people. I was always shocked that nobody else noticed the disturbing things I did. Any violence, anger, or frustration from an authority figure would hit me hard in my energy centers and contract them all at once. Sometimes the contraction of my energy centers would hurt so much that I would not be able to see or hear. It was a shock to my system. Upset people overloaded me. Just having someone raise their voice at me was terrifying and painful. I could never explain to anyone that it was painful. I was just seen as an overly emotional child. My parents and family were not the most emotionally healthy people. My father came from a violent, abusive childhood, and my mother had been traumatized by her childhood. She was emotionally stunted and shut down. They had me when they were both teenagers. Growing up, I didn't feel like I had anyone that I could count on. The adults around me didn't notice any of the things that I saw, which left me feeling isolated. It was like they existed in a whole other reality than I was experiencing. If I asked about things that I was seeing, I was told to stop lying or making things up. We were never to discuss those topics. I often felt I had to be the adult, the responsible family member. I used humor to mask my sadness and comedy like to feel like I'm at home. I would create puppet shows, musicals, and plays. I co-opted my little sister into performing with me. It was my way of getting my mom or dad to pay attention. I felt like the family gesture. All I ever wanted was to feel safe, important, or special to my parents. I loved being in nature as a child. It filled me with a sense of belonging. I grew up in the countryside of Fresno, California. My dad built a house on a parcel of land that had 20 acres of vineyards. On the other side of the vineyards lived my grandparents, my nonna and my nanu. They immigrated from Italy, moving into Central Valley in the hopes of successfully farming wine grapes. We had many fruit trees in our yard: plums, peaches, nectarines, apples, the green and the red kind, lots of grapes. We had chickens. Let's see here. Uh, oh, I think I missed the part that I was looking for, but that's great. When we were a little older, we got a small, shallow swimming pool that my sister and I spent all day in. We would swim until, okay, where was it that I was looking for? Uh, I lost the specific page I was looking for, but sorry about
Oh
that.
shoot.
That's okay.
Yeah, so growing up on the vineyard, you experiencing all those abductions, do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah. The one of the amazing things that happened for me was that when I started just talking about that chapter, I showed it to my sister, and she doesn't believe in any of this, but she remembered being abducted as well.
Mm,
So,
Oh wow.
so that was one thing that was huge for me that she remembered. But we were in the middle of nowhere. We just had, so she remembers military TR-3Bs parked in our front yard, and they would just hypnotize us, and we would just walk out of the house. We
hmm
would just walk out to them.
hmm
There's nobody out there that would even notice. And then when the Greys would come, their ship would hover over the backyard. And then we had like sea car, like reptilian Greys. Like every different faction that would abduct us would park their ship in a different part of over our house. And I think I heard my sister say that when I was always abducted, I would go up to the left and she would always go up to the right. So it was
Wow,
interesting.
that is
But
interesting.
they had our way. They had their way with us because there's nobody out there. When when the Greys would park in the back over the vineyards, and we would be made to walk outside in the, like when I was 5 or 6, they started doing this thing where they would chase me. I'm shaking, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
They would chase me through the vineyards at night just to be extra kind of fucked up and brutal. Sorry.
That's all right.
Like a cat playing with a mouse type of thing.
Yeah, just like they're already doing what they're doing to you, but I'm shaking. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't worry.
The childhood memories I had were of running from monsters through the vineyards at night in the dark. That was all I remembered about my childhood. So yeah,
Wow.
there was something wrong with that. So I had to put that together and figure out, why was I playing outside during the day like I would build forts out in the vineyards with wood and logs and leaves to hide in, to
Mhm.
prepare for the night when they would come to abduct us.
Wow.
It's fucked up.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
fucked up. It's very fucked up. And I remember reading the parts in your book where you were taken somewhere else with Michael Aquino, and they had you and a lot of other kids run through the forest, and you
That
ran up
was
a tree.
safe. Yeah, that was the SRA.
Yeah.
Um, let me just stop shaking for a minute. Hold on. Aquino.
Hmm.
I hate that guy so much.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
hope
that's good
I hope
reason.
I hope he's listening. I know he's dead, but I hope he's listening because he's gonna get his.
Hmm.
Um, they would keep us in electric cages. And that was our that was my safe spot, my cage, even though it was electrocuted. But he would and I've listened to other people talk about him, and he didn't handle them directly, but he handled me directly. I remember that he liked me. He called me something, his special girl, because I think I lasted longer before I died, before he had to reanimate me. Um, but on that base that he kept us at, and I'm not sure, I think there are many that he was a part of because he was this U.S. Army psychological operations guy. But one time he took me out of the cage and said that I was going to get a treat. But in order to get the treat, I had to run and hide and be uh, be a good girl and hide really well. And I guess they were having a hunting game where those guys just pick random kids, and you have 15 minutes to run and hide, and they chase you either with on foot, with guns, on horseback, or with dogs. And you have 15 minutes, and if you hide, you might live, but usually you didn't make it, and I didn't make it. I remember climbing up a tree, and I felt like I was as high as I could get on this tree, and I started hearing the dogs and the horses and the men coming. And I remember I would always close my eyes thinking that that would keep me safe, but they always found me. And then boom, I would wake up and I would be in my bed, out of breath. I would be cold, and I would have a bloody nose. Always a bloody nose.
Well, I wanted to ask about those bloody noses too, because that's something that I've experienced a lot. Out of every single kid that I remember experiencing in school and the apartments I grew up in, I never met anybody that experienced bloody noses like I did, as
Same.
often as I did, and how
Severe.
severe it was, and they would just happen out of nowhere. And it was very normal for me to wake up in bed with my pillow just
Pillow
in a
caked.
caked in blood, and just blood everywhere, and always just thick coagulations coming out. And I'm like, this went on since I don't know, maybe I don't know when it started, but super young. As far back as 5 years old, all
Yeah.
the way till I don't know, my early 20s. This would occur. The last sudden intense bloody nose that I had, just like that one, was it was the end of 2020. Yeah, the very end of 2020 was the last time I had a sudden nosebleed like that. And so for you, in the work you've done to uncover these memories and piece things together, what is the explanation to these bloody noses? How are these bloody noses happen? Is it, it's a side effect, right, of what they're doing?
It's a lot. It's not just one thing. What I realized for me, and mine are the exact same as yours. My last really severe one was 2020, just like you said. That's so eerie to me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I still get them, but they're not like, we
Yeah.
used to when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
So the technology that they use to take your consciousness out, like, I feel like I'm giving bad news in here.
That's okay. We're in a good place. We're in a good
They're
place.
able to come into your house, come into your bedroom at night. And some of the technology for consciousness transfer requires that a device go up and it pulls you out. It's kind of anyways, that's one way. That's one thing that causes them. Other things are implants that they put in. There are implants that are in us already that they access to, like, read your whatever the implant is for, like if it's for scanning your health or taking care of managing some kind of hormone they want you to have, they tweak it, but that'll also cause a bloody nose. So there's a lot. It's not just one thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is heavy, guys.
I mean,
Heavy.
it is
Yeah.
heavy, and thank you for, you know, your willingness and your courage to come out and start this journey and in telling your story to more people to listen to it, because I'm definitely fascinated by it, but not in like a spectator kind of way,
Right. No, I
as
get
in
it.
like
Yeah.
this is
So
helpful. There's things here that can help me and help other people.
And that's why I did it. I didn't realize I'd be shaking as bad as I am right now, but the world isn't what we thought. And
Mm-hmm.
we need to wake up to that really quick, or else how are we going to change it and make it better?
Mm-hmm.
If
yeah.
we don't even know what the fuck's really going on, how are we going to make it better? So I'm like, with what they've done to me in my life, I've lost everything. Like,
Yeah.
they've tried to kill me. They've messed with my kids, my grandkids, my family's unit. Like, I'm back up against a wall now with nothing to lose. And I can't die, obviously, because I already tried that. So
Mm-hmm.
I have no option right now but to want to fight and to want to speak up and to want to put myself out here and be willing to be called crazy, because that doesn't bother me either. Like, with everything that's happened, none of these things are going to bother me, like talking about this. But
That's kind of the funny paradox that they create when they want to just slap you down so hard and be like, no, shut up, no, be too scared, no, go cower in the corner. And the end effect of it all is like, okay, you've just put me, like, now I
you
have
just
zero
made me a
fucks to give.
superhero. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Now I'm your worst nightmare
Yeah.
because, and what's dangerous, it's not so much that you embody your own power and stand in your own sovereign might and revoke consent, but by showing and sharing your example, many other nodes of consciousness are like, wait, like, that reminds me of things, and I felt guided to your book, and that opens up doors for me. And then
I
you
hope
just,
so.
yeah, you don't have to know, so I think, because that's just yeah. I do you have the sense that, I mean, with the doors blowing open, that's a super intense and crazy thing. Do you have the sense that it may have opened up a different, better, higher timeline, maybe?
Writing this, or
The whole, from opening it to writing it to, yeah.
yeah, for me it did. It cleared my, like, let me explain it this way. When we're carrying all of these, like, Mario, you know, you're carrying all of this. I don't know if I want to remember that. That one's going to be heavy. I don't know. With all of that removed, there's clarity that I didn't realize I was going to have. And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So I have, I mean, it's all over here, just bubbling there for me. And I know, and I have like flash memories of being a part of certain rituals that um, I haven't allowed myself to fully dive into yet, because just what I have there sitting on the wayside, I can feel that already, and just that
You
enough,
know,
like,
yeah.
it gets me to this high place where I can't breathe, and comes in dreams. Different things come up, because yeah, because, and it's not that I'm really trying to avoid diving into it. Like,
No, but you know that it'll knock you down and you gotta still work and you have to still take care of your family and you have to still be sane.
exactly. Yes, exactly. And the other thing that I always tell myself going through this is like, okay, like, besides all this fucked up shit that happened, like, who I am, who we are on a soul level before we chose to come down here, is this amazing multidimensional eternal being, light being from another place. So, what my 3D conscious, has experienced here in this lifetime, you know, is very intense, but it's not anything compared to the true essence of who we are. So trying to, at least for me, I've been trying to build those neural pathways of being more empowered in that embodiment, and less disempowered from
The human perspective.
from the trauma of it. But still, the body, the body keeps the score. There's all these things. So still, um, we still have to go through those healing process and opening things up. And I myself am just being careful in my journey, because yeah, I have some serious responsibilities to uphold in my current, reality matrix that I got going on here. Um, Go ahead, Alex.
Are we losing you?
Yeah, it's cutting out.
Yeah, we may have lost the past couple. Of course, anytime it gets good, they're like they turn the
They
time.
do that to me too.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, so one last thing is,
Mario, I'm going to deactivate you and reactivate you. Well, I mean, sorry. Hey,
He
Queen,
sounded
how's
like
it going? Yeah.
a
All right, I'm going to give him a second to log out and log back in.
Okay.
It sometimes the connection kind of hits a little hard, but
You know what he
anyway.
was talking about, like, if the thing that has kept me sane is I have to look at this from the soul aspect. I have to look at it from the big perspective. I am not a human being that's a victim of these things. I am a creator being with amazing abilities, with my multidimensional DNA online. And they just, I want to show other people their power, because these guys have done this to everybody for so long. I'm just done.
Here. I agree, because it's when you say like I'm a creator being, I've experienced that when I've been alongside Mario in Portland, and I've just seen someone just like give him side eye or kind of moments of like targeting and this and that, and I'm alongside Mario, and I'm like, how dare you? He is a reincarnated pharaoh over here. Do you
Right.
know who you're talking to? So there's a certain sort of like, yeah.
And the
I'm a,
Matrix is set up that way. It's set up for, especially like me and Mario probably get it extra because Mario, we are from the same soul family.
mm-hmm.
You know
Mhm.
that, right?
Oh yeah, oh
I
yeah,
bet.
right.
Okay. But I bet if you just took your targeting instances and wrote them out and put that together, like that's basically what I did in my book. But like, I didn't realize who I was when I wrote my book. I didn't realize why I was targeted. I just strung those instances together, and now I'm able to look at it and go into it and pull out like things that I need that I can use now for to empower myself, to empower others. There's good stuff under all that trauma that we're holding on to.
Yeah, yeah, I believe that.
There
And
is.
before my internet was cutting
What
off,
were you going to ask about the bloody noses?
well, as I like what you said about you know, it depends on what they're putting in there. Sometimes they're putting chips for hormones for monitoring your vitals and all of that. And you know, part of my journey is I've had a brain tumor right here in my pituitary gland, which can be accessed
Oh,
directly through
right.
so when they
Interesting.
do surgery to remove the tumor that I had on the pituitary, they operate the surgery through the nose. They go in
Interesting.
through the nose, and they're able to cut. They're able to basically scoop and take that tumor out of the nose, and that's what I wanted when I first found out that I had these tumors. Well, I mean, I was kind of like back and forth, but I was like, I want this out of my brain, because at first I was like, oh, I don't know, can I trust them? Are they gonna
Right. Are
they're
they
gonna
going to?
cut me open and put more implants in there, you know. But eventually, I got to the point of, you know, get this fucking thing out of me, because what that tumor was doing, which, you know, oh my gosh, this journey, this work that we're doing is, it can be so mind-boggling at times, because at times it's hard to completely settle down in with certain certainties. You know what I mean? So it's hard for me to completely settle down in a complete certainty of what the anomaly going on in my brain was. You know what I mean? All I know is something was happening on my pituitary gland, and it was affecting my entire endocrine system, where my body stopped producing testosterone. I was overproducing prolactin, and my hormones were all out of whack because of this one mass in my brain. And with the work that we're doing and the things that we know, I'm like, was it a mass? Was it a chip? What, you know, was it an
I'm
implant?
getting a psychic hit on it. Can I share?
Yes,
Like
Yes.
this is what I do, but so when you're talking about your tumor, I'm seeing a is it okay if I share what I see?
Yeah, go for it.
I see that the Greys put a implant up there that was supposed to monitor your hormones and your reproductive system and stuff, and your body fought against it and created like a oyster does with a pearl. Like there's a something in there, so I'm going to put like so
Calcified.
you were basically making a pearl to protect yourself. So that was okay. Sorry, I saw that when you were talking about it.
No, I like that. I like
Incredible. That makes
I
sense.
that does make sense, because it was dead center. You know,
Right, right.
usually, you
There's
know,
one
if
side.
it's kind of off to a
Yeah,
side
I've
somewhere,
seen
but
other people have it, but if yours is right there, like I
it
could
was
see
dead
it. Yeah.
center. Yeah, it was dead center, which I thought that was also interesting. And you know, when I wanted the surgery for them to pull it out, but they rather had me on the medication. Maybe they just wanted to milk my insurance for money or whatever. But
Yeah.
um, you're like, yeah,
That's what they do. Like
yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah. Definitely not a health care system for sure.
no.
I can find at least two words wrong
Yeah.
with that. But that's incredible. Wow, the being alongside Mario during that journey, and then the psychic insight you just had just this moment is really clarifying, and really like, oh wow, like it seems obvious now, like looking back at that. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what it was. Do you find that with the doors blown open, do you find that these psychic intuitions and insights and ability to kind of peer in is
I'm I'm wide
happening more and more?
open. I'm wide open, and I have to really protect myself because I can see through everything. Like I can look at somebody and I can see what technology's been used on them. I can see what agencies are still. It's a lot. It's a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and it's amazing. Like I'm amazing when somebody comes to me for help and wants that, you know. But it's hard for me to live a regular life now. Like I have to really eat a specific diet with no, you know, no junk. Like everything I have to do is so specific. I have to take such excellent care of my body. It's exhausting, but that's what's required, you know, since I healed from all the trauma and stuff.
What are some of those things you kind of stick to, like whole foods, or
Whole
if I
foods.
may ask?
Yeah, nothing processed, no red meat. I'll eat a little bit of chicken or fish sometimes, but just no GMO, no caffeine, no sugar, no medications or pharmaceuticals. Just a lot.
Do you do any sort of like supplements or anything of that nature? Or okay,
Yeah, zeolite, red pine oil, just maintaining, keeping the toxins out because when you're MyLabbed, they put in stuff because they're, you know, like you get to a certain point where you're doing really good and the military agencies are like, no, 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 she's getting too powerful. So they'll abduct you and they'll make you sick. So
Mm-hmm.
keeping that, like doing the foot ion detox bath with zeolite, charcoal, just keeping it out of my body.
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
activated charcoal for the win for sure. Yeah, I've in a similar vein. I think I have aspects of the past and stuff. Something to unpack later, but I've noticed that somehow in the past couple of years it went from just I could just do whatever I wanted to
Not
like
anymore.
not anymore.
Yeah.
And it seems like we're all on the same timing, irrespective of age, station in life, geographic location. It seems like we're very much all kind of like it seems to be of the moment, the frequency,
Well,
so to
I
speak.
think the frequencies coming in that are hitting the earth right now are requiring us to step up and
Mm-hmm.
requiring us to really take care of ourselves. And like, I agree with those. It's time for us to heal. Like, humanity has suffered for so long, and the only way that we are going to get better is for each of us individually to go inside of ourselves, take out our traumas, triggers, things that make us shameful, things that make us feel angry. When you work on those and you've got to the point where no matter what happens in your external life, you're triggerless, then your superhuman powers are going to come online. Your psychic abilities, your ability to see through time and space, your DNA is going to come online multidimensionally. You're going to light up.
Yeah. Speaking
Hey,
of lighting up, you've you've also been reconnecting or have been connected to like your star family origins, right? Or your star like other like positive
Yes,
extraterrestrials. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I don't think that was absolutely necessary too, because which is their higher aspects of me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's brilliant how my soul planned all this for all this to happen, but my soul also planned like for all the bad stuff that we're talking about, the trauma and the SRA. But my soul also planned that I had somebody taking care of me. Like I had going through, let me calm down for a minute. Going through all of this trauma and these programs and the way they split us and torture us, there was always aspects of myself that were keeping part of me safe and talking me through it and holding me while it was happening. Like, if I could explain it, my memories, like, of Aquino and Montauk, I remember them from above because there was an aspect of my soul that was kept safe and that was watching these things happen, because I don't believe that any soul would say, hey, let's go through this. And because it's not okay, it'll scar you, it'll scar your DNA. So they split me and kept a portion of my soul out so it stayed pure. And they do this with everybody, like everybody. There's an aspect of everybody that stays pure. Nobody is beyond. But that's our highest self coming into this, being incarnated here now, has a plan. And those plans are brilliant if we allow them to unfold the way that they're supposed to, if we don't get in our own way.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. You seem to be following intuitively. Like, this was wild. These things blew open for me, and you've had your, like, as you said, you had your moments in the fetal position to like cry and process, but
Yeah.
you also aren't permanently in that position either. Like, you're just like,
No, and that was something that I wanted to share. Thank you for bringing that up. My guides, or myself. No, when I talk about my guides, I'm multidimensionally online. So I am aware of my 12th dimensional, 11th dimensional, 10th dimensional aspects. I can connect with them instantly. So that helps. What was I going to say with that? What did you just say?
like permanently fetal position and stuck in that, and you.
What were you saying? Oh, okay. I was going to talk about that kind of emotional pain. A lot of clients that come to me, and a lot of people that I've talked to, have a really hard time getting through the suffering of the memories. And I know a lot of people in the that are already in the programs. And Mario, you were just talking about this. You know it's there, but you're not ready. You want to face it, but you know that it's going to take an emotional toll. Like, I think that as humans, we are wired to not want to go through that suffering and that pain, but they're wiping me right now because this is really important. That pain isn't something that we were ever supposed to hold on to and carry. Yes, you feel it. Yes, there's heartache and betrayal and loss, but it's not something that's supposed to stay in us and carry. It's supposed to wash through us. And that's, another part of deprogramming from what we were taught. But we don't have to suffer as much as we've been suffering. And I want to say that.
I love that. It maybe it's supposed to serve as a catalyst,
Yeah, but
but
you're
not
not
be a
supposed to hang
permanent.
on to it. Yeah. I mean, it's necessary so that you know what not to, what not to hurt yourself with, but it doesn't have to stay. And I thought it would consume me. But then I was able to think, oh, I have a choice. I can take this off. Like, it's like a coat. I can take it off and hang it up. If I want to remember the pain, it's right there. It's with me. I'm not letting go of it. I'm not forgetting what happened, but I don't have to wear it.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. You can open up the closet and be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that." Or
Yeah, I remember that pain.
and it seems to be the hallmark of very big souls and very ancient souls and very cosmic souls, like the two of you here with me, where like when your capabilities are big, you can experience the highest highs and the lowest lows and everything in between. Your spectrum of experience is
It's
much
much
wider.
broader. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a smaller, younger, gentler soul that's just like, I mean, their spectrum is a lot smaller, right? So their lows aren't that low, but their highs aren't that
They're not that
remarkable
big.
either. Yeah, exactly. It's not their station yet. So, yeah. So I'm glad you've been able to experience the full spectrum and
Yeah.
continue to.
Thank you.
Um, the one last thing that I wanted to, well, probably not the last thing, but another incident of your book that I wanted just to hear from you was that experience you had in one of your altars on Ceres, where you got to, you attempted to run away from the Dracos, and you did get away for a minute until they caught up to you.
Yeah.
Um, can we hear from you a little bit about that moment?
Um,
So your alter in that situation was
I'm a
cyborg.
cyborg.
Cyborg, right?
Yeah, and I
Yes.
think I'm a child, I'm tiny anyway. I don't know if I was. I think I'm just my own age, but I remember being tiny. But the Draco are like 12, 14 feet. But I had a device and I had a camera on this eye, so that's creepy. But for a minute, something in some of the technical stuff that they made me into a cyborg with on my brain malfunctioned, and it was attached to like the Draco handler that owned me, and he was on a ship and I was in series. I was doing something and it just went offline, and I know I remembered how I still had like my camera on my eye and I still had a device, but I remember the freedom I had. I felt like I was so excited, like, oh my gosh, they can't see me for 2 minutes. I thought I was so excited. It was like a vacation. So I started running. I tried to hide. Um, I tried to use some of my training that we had from Solar Warden against the Draco. Like you were trained to think one thing because they're always reading your mind and do something else. So I thought I was a badass. I thought I was going to trick them, even though they have like GPS and I have their machinery in me and they know where I'm at. But I tried to get away.
Wow, that is wild. That's very wild. And so with that, so when that happened, and you were remembering that, do you think that maybe that could have happened, like that malfunctioning might have happened as some sort of like a higher divine interference for you to have that moment up there so you can
Yeah,
remember
and
it
that's
later?
yes, and that's how it works because without that emotional charge, you're not going to have a memory. And
Hmm.
so I have all these moments where my emotional charge is high, like I'm either excited or running, or like on series I had like 2 minutes of freedom. And it's that I was able to go into and gather all my other memories for. Where's the emotional charge? Where can I connect with my heart and source to this to get more out of it?
Okay. Wow. Go ahead,
That'll be,
Alex.
yeah, that'll be something interesting. A thread I'm picking up throughout all of this is like there's always the act of running, and that kind of catalyzes things and memories and unconscious things in me too. The act of the cornfield series, um, the Michael Aquino's Dungeon of Horrors, all these things like the one continuous thread is the act of like running, getting caught, and being allowed to run. And then you're, emitting a lot of loosh because you're just like fearful and
Yeah.
banging out like a bat out of hell. Which is probably a buffet for certain entities, or had been at the time. But it's very funny. It's like you of all the running and escaping and trying to like pop out, like you've in the past couple of years, like you've arrived, like you almost like don't you like you don't need to run, like you could just turn and go like pew and then just like blast him with light and shit, which is what it seems like you're doing.
it's that's a I love the way you say that, because I finally feel like I don't have to run and hide, and I've been doing that for 52 years, and I'm sleepy now. Like, I sleep a lot now because I spent the first 52 years of my life in fight or flight. Like, I'm tired now.
Yeah, you didn't even get to, even when you were sleeping, it was like one eye open, you
No.
know? Yeah.
Well, no. When your multidimensional DNA is online, I don't sleep. So, like at night, when this body falls asleep, I go into my other who's doing something somewhere else. And if that's boring, I'll go into another. Some of them I don't like being in because they have really sucky jobs or lives, but there's always an aspect of me that I am with at night. It can be really confusing.
Commenter
Oh.
saying.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've got Karen L. Let's, for our listeners here, Karen L says, "I have so much respect for this lady." Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
You got some fans in the comments watching us
And
right now.
was it a different altar, that cyborg altar, or the same one that because if I remember correctly, chapter in your book when you joined a resistance in Mars, or you were part of a breakaway civilization in Mars.
Yeah, that I'm still there. That's
Still,
crazy.
still there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy because I was just with her. I sound like a nut. I'm sorry, but
No, we get it.
she is she is an aspect of me that works in Darkfleet. With Darkfleet, was also made a super soldier, and she lives on Mars right now, and she's actually helping take care of a lot of my children that were made through the breeding program with my DNA. And sorry, it's just crazy to say it that out loud. This was the first time I was able to say that out loud.
Oh wow.
I'm writing my second book because this book was like cut off. It's in two parts. So I'm writing the second book now of what happened during the 2 hours I was gone when they abducted me when I was 50. So it's like multi-dimensional, but
Mm-hmm.
the book I'm writing now is what happened in those 2 hours. Like, I was going all across the galaxy doing stuff. So I'm writing about that now.
Wow.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm tired of these worlds being very siloed and compartmentalized, kind of like the fragmentation some of us have
Yeah, that
experienced.
it keeps it secret still.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about it like we're in in hushed tones at a speakeasy. You know?
I realize I do that when I'm talking about some of this stuff. I whisper as if, who's why? I mean, I know the military's always listening. I know the agencies are always listening, but I was going to ask I was going to ask Mario about that too. Do you have dreams of it working with the agencies still?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I I I feel, and I have dreams and connections of being a part of a number of different agencies, um, both here on planet and off planet. Um, somebody that I one of the people that I've been so there's two folks that I've been working with. Oh, that's funny when I did that. So there are two people that I've been working with over the years, and in one of my sessions with them, they've been helping me uncover a few of my altars, and we even have the name of them and everything, and I have it written down somewhere. But I have this one altar who works for a specific agency, and is basically been hired to stop some of the because it's weird because it's like some of these altars have been hired to work on a more lighter side, and then other aspects of these altars are way more darker. Does that make sense? It's
Yeah.
like, and so I have altars that are even fighting each other
Yeah.
in what they're doing. Where one altar is like, using Mobius, technology, creating pocket dimensions, trafficking drugs and children. And then there's another altar that is trying to shut that down at the same time. But both of these clones have been bought by different corporations.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's those corporations that are at each other. And so it's that they can buy them, like any corporation can buy, my DNA and my clone that carries a fragment of my soul, which each of these fragments are very psychic, highly empathic, and have abilities. So all these altars that they buy, they're buying them because of that. Those
Right. That's why they want
those
you.
those
Yeah.
bells and whistles. Um, yeah.
I
Uh,
know that. Go ahead.
well, so one of the more recent dreams I had was on planet, and I was with a squadron of folks, and we were trekking into Russia somewhere. We were going like deep into like the Siberian forests of Russia to find a post out there, and to basically cross enemy lines and take down the post. Um, and it turned into a big shootout with some of the people that I was with. There was a big shootout, then there was a big flood, and there was something about a bridge, and the bridge collapsed, and this flood occurred. And then it was like the next day, or it was like I dreamt it either the night it happened in real time, or the day before it happened in real time. But then it was like that week following the dream, there was a whole thing that happened in Russia, and this was just a few months ago, that inquired like a bridge falling, and there was like a secret ops coming in, crossing military lines and all of that. And so, um, I according to what one of the folks I've been working with, um, one of my altars is working in these kinds of missions, and this same altar also prevented a worldwide cyber attack last year, that also took place in Russia. The stopping of the cyber attack took place in Russia. So I know that these altars are around doing these things, and at times I do feel connection with them. Um, but I'm not like, I don't have full like connected
Open.
I
Yeah.
don't have total recall yet. Yeah.
That Russia one sounds very familiar. I know that I work for Russian SFB, and I know that I work for Angel Corps or Angelic Corps, and I know that you work on two or three of them with me, not together with me, but I mean I know that you work on some of these that I work on too.
Mm.
Um, 2 months ago, I woke up speaking fluent Russian. Never
Wow.
taken Russian before. So yeah, that's another telltale sign.
Hmm. Yeah, and I always feel them. Oh, and it's funny because I know when they're hacking my phone. Um, and there was one particular incident where my phone was being hacked, and they were messing with my Instagram links, and they were, because they try to manipulate me, and they try to fuck with me all at the same time. And before I knew it was the Russians. I was like, okay, what is going on here? What is this? Like, why am I being triggered in these ways? Because it's all like, for me, like in what I recall of how I got really programmed was through intense electroshock torture into my nervous system that wired my brain to certain images and sounds and things. And so those, when those things get triggered, and they're not necessarily all violent images or things. They are everyday things,
Just
things, basic
things.
everyday
Yeah.
things that they know that I will come across every single day to trigger my nervous system in that shock, torture, memory. So, one of the times I was experiencing this, and I was like, "What the? What's going on?" And then finally, like it just clicked, and I was like, "The Russians! It's the Russians!" Anyways, I know this sounds fucking batshit crazy.
It does. But it doesn't to it doesn't to me. Like, it doesn't sound crazy to me at all.
Mm-hmm. Like I've recently put one of my coworkers onto a book. Like I told him to start listening to this audiobook written by Len Castor called Alien World Order, and it tells you everything about the galactic wars between the Dracos and the Syrians and all that, and then the Lyrans coming down here, and it tells the whole story of everything going on. And he's been listening to it, and he's like, "Oh, Mario, by the way, I'm like a third into that book, man, and it's fucking crazy. Like, wow." And I'm like, "Changes everything, doesn't it? Changes everything." And he goes, "But I do want to say, like, even though I'm completely fascinated by this book, I'm by saying that I'm not saying I believe everything that what I mean?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was like, honestly, I would be concerned if you did believe everything right off
Right,
the bat,
especially right quick.
I'd be concerned if you did." And then we got to talking about just, I just kept throwing in little facts for him to chew on later on, like, "Oh, well, a couple hundred years ago, the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers started,
Right.
the public schooling system to indoctrinate our minds and keep us framed into a certain thinking. So, of course, if you were to begin listening to a book that goes off the script,
There you
you'd have a
go.
hard time believing,
That's very smart.
You got to dance, it's a dance."
It is.
And that's the thing when we're trying to get because this guy is completely has no awareness of any of these sort of things. And then I just dropped that book on him, and now all of a sudden he's like crash course,
Yeah.
coming here. And so it's like, at least my approach with people, first off, if they have just that small window of opening, right, or even just a possibility of like being curious and allowing themselves to entertain it, not necessarily be about it or excited about it, but okay, I'll entertain this for 2 seconds. And then so it's like, if I'm encountering people that don't have that capacity at all, cut them off. I'm not gonna give them any energy. Pearls before swine, But if they do have that, and I can feel that they have that, and if I can give them just a little piece, and then they take that piece in, and if they either just like, "Oh, that's just too much, too crazy," no, okay, cool, we're done there. Or if they can take that little piece and go, "Num num, that's actually kind of interesting," and then we dance a little bit more, but never do I show them my full hand of what you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
You know?
Like
Never
I
will
did with
show
my
them.
book.
Yeah, you were, bam, Queen of Hearts. There
Here's
it
my
goes.
But it was liberating for me because I've put on this facade and this persona that it's better that I'm me now. Like, I'm wide open, I'm like transparent, like everything's out there. I have nothing to hide now. So it's quite liberating,
That's awesome.
to live that way, and to have it, live with integrity, and to live with, I don't know, it's better than, like, I felt like I was hiding behind all these crazy experiences I was having. I thought I was crazy. I thought I was mentally ill, which I'm not. And that's a big one too. That's really big.
Yeah.
I was gaslighting myself for so long.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny because I work at a warehouse that is contracted by the military and develops communication devices that go on aircrafts, satellites, NASA spacecraft, and things like that. And I'm at this point. I'm like, oh god damn it! Like, am I where they want me to be right now? You know, like, am I exactly? Because like I can't be fully open there because
You're right. You
it's a
can't.
government contracted military place. You go through a very
That
intense
scares
background.
me.
Go through, but I'm open to some degrees. Like there's one of my supervisors, every once in a while, him and I are working right next to each other, and yeah, I'll tell him right away, like, oh yeah, I get abducted by aliens and blah 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 blah, and but I do it in a way that's, I do it in a certain way, and his response, I love his response, and what he always tells me is like, well, I believe in a giant God in the sky that will either approve me to go to heaven or approve me to go to hell. So who am I to judge that, you believe you're getting abducted by aliens? We're both crazy. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, speaking of these corporations, right? So this is a massive communications corporation that develops relays for spacecraft, satellites, NASA, missiles, tanks, airplanes. And this is a huge
So
multi-billion
you're
dollar.
working in the programs in the 3D.
Yeah, son of a bitch. What the hell? I should quit. I shouldn't even go to work today. I should quit the job right now. Damn it.
You could also be
That's scary.
lending Patricia. We went to a Patricia Coda Robles thing, and she said that there's people kind of inserted at like Northrop Grumman and Raytheon and stuff to like add frequency to a place that like sorely needs it. Even though I do think you kind of walk around a livestock pen every day. And they're like, they don't even care the work you do. They're like, insert widget into plus, like whatever. We got our eye on them. That's all.
But it's
But
funny that you say that because when I started working there, that was my thought too. Like, okay, I'm here for a reason, so let me just open up the channels and bring in them light frequencies in here. And as I started to do that, there was this one particular day where I was just like hardcore bringing in the angelic frequencies, and there's this big old machine that's next to me. That night, it caught on fire. Yeah. that night it fucking caught on fire, and then
Do you do that to television sets too?
I have not made a television set caught on fire, but I make all kinds of weird things fucking glitch out and freak out. But yeah, there was I've done that a lot at work, and I forgot them all already. That's just funny. But there was a number of different things that started to like malfunction and act up, and like we started getting backlogs. So anyways, bringing in the light codes.
love it. Printing them on
Great.
all and you're inserting them into all these devices too. So that's kind of fun.
Well, yeah, I'm like, okay, well, if this little relay is going to go in a missile, then I want it to malfunction.
There you go. There
Yeah.
you go. Don't let them catch on though.
Yeah, I know, right? Hopefully no one at work knows my podcast channel.
Yeah, I can't seem to. Yeah, I try to be super obvious at the places I work, and it's like posh little corporations. And sometimes I'm like, you can almost like feel the artifice of it all, where you're just like, I'm kind of saying my thing, and they're like, and I'm like, we're just gonna let that hang there like a fart. It's just
Right.
like, okay, I guess, like Truman
Like a
Show.
fart.
Like, we just onward and upward, I guess. I'm like, okay. So anyway,
This is great.
yeah, this was a wonderful.
Um,
Oh, go ahead.
One of the things I just want to tell another story. Is that okay?
Yes.
One of the things that I also did as far as healing because I can't even tell you how scared I've been. Like my cortisol was so high, my hair fell out. I looked like I was 90 years old. My stomach's bleeding. Like I was so sick. But when I discovered like all the agencies that I listed to you guys, that's not even it. Like there's more. I was going down them, and I was, with my abilities, I was connecting to each of them and trying to find out what I did in that corporation. And you can do that. And it bothered me that I had been used as an assassin. It bothered me that I had been used to take people out. But I wanted to really prove to myself that I was in the programs, and I wanted to prove to myself that I didn't have to be afraid anymore. So I went with my aunties to a shooting range. Actually, it was just a big private property out in the country where you could shoot to your heart's content. I've never held a gun. I've never shot a gun. Like, I'm scared shitless of guns. But the guy that we met there had like a sniper rifle. He had all assortment of handguns. He had like big ones. I couldn't even lift them. But the thing is, up until I went there, I had not been able to sleep. I was so scared because like the military's coming into my room at night. There's no privacy, like for me. But when I went to the shooting range and I'm standing there and I'm shaking, holding the gun, and the guy stands behind me and goes, okay, just relax. Okay, this is your target. He put one of those stats, whatever they're called. And I hit the target every shot with every weapon they gave me. Perfect shot.
Wow.
And I can't tell you, that did something for me. I went from feeling like a victim to feeling like I was going to be just fine. Like, it was so powerful.
Just the switch of it.
Like, I've never shot a gun before. I didn't miss. And he would show me a target. I didn't miss, like on point.
That's awesome.
That's
pretty wild.
That was proof, though. That was proof for some of the things that I discovered about myself.
And it indicates a big arsenal, both literally and figuratively, of skills, abilities, experiences you have in your chamber.
And I'm thinking, what I've learned is that no matter what darkness I've been through, when I face that pain, I'm not afraid to look at it, and I'm not afraid to be vulnerable with it. Poof, it vanishes. And underneath that level of pain and trauma was a ability, or a superhuman ability, that I always wished I had, that I got back. So no matter how many people or agencies or military or Aquino did, no matter what they did to me, I took that shit back and I got my power back. And like, I really encourage anybody else who, if you're afraid to look at this stuff, look at it, face it, because underneath it, you're going to find your superpower. You're going to find your magical strength to like make a change in the world, and it's going to be easy. That's all.
Yes. From your throat chakra to our ears.
Yes.
And so it is.
So it is, yes.
Oh, fabulous.
Well, Erica, this has been a really great time getting to know you more and to sit with you and to ask you these questions. And definitely would like to have you on more and more and more in the future as we continue to ride this journey together. Before we go, is there any last words you'd want to say? How can people find you?
I can be found at ericaamoreena.com. I have some pretty amazing abilities that I devoted my time to helping other people find theirs, find your superpowers, and get through your stuff. So ericaamoreena.com.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, I definitely want to book a session with you at some point and
I want to
use
look into your pearl more.
look into the pearl. Come on. Yeah. I feel there's with us being a part of the same soul group, which I definitely feel that 100%. I think there are a lot of things you can help me unpack, being that you've already gone through this already.
That would be
That'd be
great.
fabulous. And we'd love to have you back for future conversations because I feel like you're unpacking things and will continue to do so. So we'd
Yeah,
absolutely love
forever.
to.
Thank you. I would love to. Thank you guys
Fabulous.
so much for having me on. And Alex, thank you for making everything look so professional and nice. You're amazing.
Yeah, Mario's the meat and I'm the little citrus zest on it. So.
Oh,
Awesome.
you guys are great. This is a
Thank
great
you.
show too.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot to us. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And links are in the description below. And with that, stay tuned for next week. Bye, everyone.